Welcome to the MSDW podcast. I'm Jason Gumpert, editor at MS Dynamics World. On this episode, we are talking to members of the teams at SignUp Software and SKsoft to learn about how they're working together to solve sophisticated finance challenges with Business Central. My guests are Bob Monio of SignUp and Morgan Prengler of SKsoft, and we start by discussing the state of the partnership between their teams and what they're doing together to address the needs of finance teams running BC when it comes to gaps in AP, payments, reconciliation, and reporting. SignUp is the sponsor of this episode, and Bob and Morgan both share use cases for recent customers and some of the patterns that have been emerging in the last 12 months around advanced financial solutions and modernization initiatives. They explain why they are using the narrative of the CFO stack and what that brings to teams that may have become comfortable working around inefficiencies, like switching between systems to close gaps in compliance and integrations. And we discuss the value of bringing audit, spending, and control under one roof. All right. Well, Bob and Morgan, welcome to both of you today. It's great to chat. Why don't we start with some introductions? Bob, why don't we start with you? Welcome back. Great to have you.
Yes, glad to be here. It's always a pleasure to have a chance to join you for a podcast, certainly also with Morgan here today. My name is Bob Monio, and I'm a senior director here at SignUp Software, responsible for our work in the BC market space, SMB market space, and driving strategy and driving relationships and sales through our partners, because that is our key go-to-market strategy.
All right, excellent. And Morgan, welcome to the podcast. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you so much, Jason, for having me. I appreciate it. Really nice to be here today. I'm Morgan Prengler. I'm the business development manager for SKsoft's Business Central practice. So we've been in the Microsoft Dynamics space for quite a long time, but I helped launch our practice about 2 years ago, I would say, and it's been a fun journey since then. So I drive the sales strategy, our partner alliances, and service delivery as well.
All right, excellent. Well, great to have you both here. Yeah, I wanted to start the conversation by just learning a little bit more about the relationship between your firms and how it's changed. Bob, do you want to take that one?
Sure, happy to do so. SKsoft has been a tremendous partner to SignUp Software for quite a few years. In fact, they've been one of our leading partners in the enterprise space in delivering our solutions to F&L customers. And recently, we began to do more in the BC space and starting to work together there. And because of this partnership and the synergies and other things that have existed there in delivering and selling and doing all the things that they've done, they have that intimate knowledge of what we do from our procure-to-pay perspective. So while you've heard me talk in the past about the concept of the synergistic relationship that partnerships bring, the connective tissue now is really being emphasized because they get it, they understand it, they know how to speak the language, they can be tribal with customers and with prospects and with partners. And so that natural synergy bringing us together in this way and working as we are, from our perspective, is really kind of a bringing together of heavyweights in this space to do the best possible thing for customers that are out there. And certainly for partners, they're getting the best of both worlds.
Morgan, anything you would add?
I think definitely Bob hit it just completely on the nail with that. We're selling Expo in our F&O product line, and it just was such a hit. When we were talking with partners, it was probably one of our top needs that a client was trying to address along with our banking automation suite. And so together, it just was an easy sell, a comprehensive financial automation suite. And so now we're bringing it across the board since we're both in Business Central, and we've already seen such great traction. And I'm really excited to see how this grows ultimately, because I think it's going to be one of the strongest ISV to ISV partnerships in this space. I mean, I don't think I've seen anything like it before this. So great stuff to come.
Yeah, Morgan, can you say a little bit more about working with SignUp in the Business Central space specifically as we started off here already? I mean, I think both of your firms had already been really well established in the D365 finance world, but this is still a newer initiative or a newer sort of element of your partnership. What is it all about sort of working together with Business Central specifically?
With Business Central, I think it's quite different from the on-a-pro space because for us, we have to understand the SMB finance needs. Particularly, the CFO is going to have a different role versus in a much larger organization. So first of all, I think SignUp and SKsoft aligned in our approach of redefining what the CFO role is and what products should we tackle for Business Central. So I think that's where Bob and I see alignment. And also, we're seeing the same trends because we're talking to the same people pretty much. And it's all around security, protecting a company's information, streamlining your business processes, but also how can I get the most out of my current software? So, our approach of how do we talk to people and particularly how do we bring prospects in, there's alignment there, but also with our partners, the way we approach partners as well. There's commonality between us and our partner approach where we heavily focus on building robust collaborative partnerships across the board so that we have, first of all, a strong pipeline, but also partners that can depend on us to deliver the subject matter expertise. So both the CFO expertise and that partnership approach made it for us to align and get quite successful, I think, in the first beginnings of this partnership.
All right, excellent. Bob, anything you would add?
Well, I agree 100%. I think that while we recognize, and you know this too, Jason, that the challenges that the CFOs are facing at the enterprise level and that they're facing at the SMB level, yes, they're different, mostly just due to size of company and the reach of both organizations. But the pains and things that people are feeling in the SMB space are just as hard and just as harsh in the long run. So CFOs are trying to respond to this challenge and preserving capital, increasing their supplier DSO, doing things that are requiring more from their systems has put a tremendous amount of weight on the CFO. And so as Morgan and I have talked about this, part of what they've asked us for and what partners have been asking for is the need to see a completeness of solution. I kind of think of the Jerry Maguire "you complete me" statement that he made, in the sense that we're completing each other. They're providing world-class capabilities in being able to really nail down what has to take place in delivering payments. And the CFOs need that because that eliminates fraud. That gets in the way and makes sure that the process completes properly. And of course, we've always had the world-class set of capabilities that people have come to depend on in the area of the automation perspective of what takes place around the procure to pay area. And so you bring these things together, and it's an even stronger way of managing what goes on with the CFO. Now, there was also something that she mentioned, which I think is also important to point out, is that we share a common understanding and a common approach to what we do with partners. We really believe that partners look to us as being coaches and helping them through the process of understanding what their customers want, understanding how to speak the language, understanding how to manage that risk and fear so that they can get in the door and stay in the door, and then to deliver all the products that are necessary to ensure that while they're in the door, they don't have to step out and go look for something else. So again, back to that "you complete me" statement. I'd say that this has really been echoed now in what we're seeing from partners, immediate response and saying, yes, this is perfect. And also from customers who, if I look at our pipelines, this is great. This is really going in the right direction. So the match is working.
I definitely want to get to the customer experience of working with your teams, but since you mentioned partners, Bob, and maybe we could touch on that a bit more, because from our side, we've done some research and some thinking about sort of what partners and resellers want from a relationship with their vendors who are working together with them on Business Central customer deployments, right, and customer solutions. What are some of the priorities that you would say partners really value from working with your teams?
Well, I would say number one is that we're there with them during the process. Because as you know, partners go through a life cycle working with an ISV. At first, it's understanding and making recommendations. Then it moves to teach me more about your product so that while I'm watching you sell, I can start doing some of the sale and I can start to get to the point of doing delivery. And eventually it's we'll just deliver and sell and you provide the product. We have to be there through the entire life cycle, which means not just at the time of the sale, which typically we do, which would be to sit down with them when they're with the client and help them communicate, but we have to help them through the entire growth life cycle of what they're doing in their organization. And that maturity changes based on the partner and where they are, in that season of life. So partners like that, they want that. And what struck me in my first conversations with Morgan is that they share that same approach and engaging partners in this way. So as partners come to us, and they always have the traditional needs. We need leads. We want to make sure we get training. We want to be able to do these sorts of things. It's the ability to be there through the thick and the thin, working with that partner while you're still providing world-class, partner support in those other areas. That really puts it over and gets them to the point they need to be. And I think we did some recent survey work here at the company in SignUp with partners, and a lot of the responses that we saw really echoed these things I've just spoke about. The fact that, yes, we have world-class programs that continue to deliver what they need, but also we're focused on improving them and adding additional. But it's that ability to put that wrapper around that partner through that life cycle. And while they're there, be there with them. That's what's helping them. That's what they need. And that also translates to the customer, because the customer sees this and says, that's great. These broader shoulders we're bringing to the table really are helping us remove our fear and risk. And that's what they want.
Let's talk a little bit more about the customer experience perspective. So or maybe from a product side, and Morgan, I can have you lead this one maybe, but when Xflow and SKsoft's solutions are working together, what kind of customer experience are you aiming for?
Well, first of all, embedded completely, but also intuitive at the end of the day. For us, when you put together Xflow and SK fully in BC, the client is going to see a full end-to-end AP process. So Xflow will handle the AP automation side, and then after the invoice is posted, then that's where SK comes in, and we have our AP payment automation flow. So that's one side of things, is they're going to get a complete end-to-end automated AP process. They're not going to have to bring together different solutions in order to get that automation for the AP team. Now, when you look at it all across the board, you're going to get this financial automation suite with everything we provide to the market. And it's all in Business Central. A lot of the providers out there who claim to be a financial automation suite are oftentimes bolt-on. And this is where you're going to see this key difference now, and why we're getting such traction in the market is because together with our embedded product experience that Bob was also talking about, the client doesn't have to leave BC to get the automation they desire. Along with that, we bring the subject matter expertise so that together our solutions flow really well in terms of the workflows we've optimized, the certain enhancements. I won't go into the nitty gritty. But when you're a user, you want the interface to work for you. You want Business Central to be as streamlined as possible. And that's what our solutions do together. And you're going to get that time savings from a customer perspective. You're going to be like, well, I have the time to do the tasks I've been putting off for months because standard BC is just not working for me.
Mm-hmm. That idea of reducing manual work. I mean, it's a story, or it's a benefit that people have talked about forever. But I mean, to the extent that, you can continue to reduce that, I mean, it's always an attractive proposition, right, for customers, especially if they feel like they're getting more value. And speaking of, what customers are experiencing, that's what I wanted to ask about next, which was, are there, use cases or patterns that you've seen emerging as you've worked together in what customers are actually experiencing, what the solutions actually end up looking like in the Business Central realm?
I think this is a great one. I think we can both talk about together. And that is, we have seen already, of course, based on what's been discussed in the market up to this point, because we just recently completed a webinar on this, is that the response by partners, the response by customers has been solid. Every opportunity that we've been speaking in about a scenario for what would have been traditionally for us, an AP opportunity, and we bring up the situation of being able to deliver world-class vendor payment capabilities with SKsoft. The customer's like, you can do that. That's fantastic. And you know what? We've heard of them. Together, well, that's it. Let's do it. And, the amount and what it means from a deal perspective has increased immediately. And we're seeing more and more and more scenarios now where this is happening. And it's same thing's true with partners. But as you say, the proof is in the pudding. We talked about a success story with Agterra, and I know, Morgan, you've spoken about Agterra previously. Do you want to just give a quick snapshot of what took place there between the two of us?
Yep, for sure. Agterra, they're a large company, about $2 billion company, actually. And they are one of the largest farm cooperatives in the US. And they came to us because legacy systems were just not working for them. They were looking for the automation across the board. And so we put together this Xflow, this SKsoft comprehensive suite, and we implemented it. And what we saw was that they were able to reduce significantly the time they were approving 70,000 invoices. And along with that, they were significantly reducing the time they were taking to reconcile their bank rec. And along with that, they were able to quickly pay vendors. And when you do all this together, you're going to see processes that took hours go to maybe hours, maybe even minutes, depending. Obviously, as good as the information that's in Business Central and the data, that's what I always tell clients, ultimately for time savings. So for optimization, but across the board, when you're using AP and then the banking automation, it flows really well. So it just builds up over time, and it's intuitive as well. And so that's what Actera was able to essentially reap just all of the benefits across the board. And it's a really great success story.
Let me just add to this for a moment here, Jason. This is an acceleration point for many customers, but it's also a very important area as far as how customers look at what's happening from the banking process and electronic funds payments as a way of accelerating the time to value and getting suppliers paid. Early payment discounts are something that we always talk about in the AP space, but oftentimes do not really always realize. Because if you think about the traditional process, when you get to the point of posting, we stopped. Now we're able to immediately be able to press a button and make a payment to that vendor. So that vendor is getting their cash. And when that happens, they're able to begin then to start to move ahead and create the products that they need so that we as a customer of them can buy more of that. And that management of cash is what they're trying to also address. So it is a synergistic relationship between what we're doing and what the supplier is doing that's further enhanced because we're now bringing this into play. And Agterra was able to not only manage all of that invoice processing, which is phenomenal, but at the end of it, they were able to make the connection to their suppliers and they were able to do it in a secure fashion. Right now, today, fraud is still one of the number one concerns that customers and suppliers, that everybody's suffering from. I mean, it's out there. We see it in government. We see it all over the place. And it is getting a tremendous amount of light shined on it. Well, we're able to put this forward in this combined solution in this way and demonstrate to them that we can head off fraud. We can remove those bad actors. We can remove those opportunities for that money to go to the wrong supplier, for example, on a payment. And that's something that is very, very meaningful and it's an immediate success. So I think that's something else that has to be pointed out here too is yes, we're accelerating the cycle. We're getting those early payment discounts back into vogue, but we're also addressing the fraud concerns and those bad actors. And that is a major, major selling point to a customer today.
Yeah, certainly a priority among finance teams. And it's becoming, just from my perspective, it's becoming a more and more frequently discussed topic. So that's great to hear. And maybe on that topic or on others, what's in store for customers coming up in the next 12 months? Morgan, do you want to talk about that?
I think really for customers, I can't really say roadmap fully just yet, but what we have in line, I think together as organizations is just a one-stop shop for clients to be able to get all these needs addressed: AP, AR, cash management, There's some exciting things down the road that I can't disclose just yet. But let's just say if they're wanting an ISV that can handle the pain points that the finance teams are searching for, they can go essentially to us to address those needs. And I think for us, the way that we're building product, particularly, we're serving different people across the board, different teams, different types of companies, and that translates to how we build product because we do it in such a collaborative manner. So what clients are going to see is you're going to continue to see in Business Central that embedded experience, but you're going to see more fraud prevention capabilities. You're going to see better optimization of that cash conversion cycle, but you're also going to see systems that were before not communicating together, along with that embedded banking experience as well. And then SignUp and us together. I mean, it's going to be, I think, a really exciting product down the line of continuing to grow based off of market demand. So that's really exciting. I'm pretty sure, Bob, you probably have some comments as well from your end.
No, I couldn't say I've never been one for not having a comment, but that being said, I do believe that we've got a very, very rich roadmap and rich future of things that have already been discussed internally and that we're working to bring to the forefront for partners and customers. We want to make it as easy as possible for partners to be able to deploy our solutions and bring them to their customers and talk about them and how to present them and how to understand that tribalness of being able to do that work. We're also really keen on being able to introduce more and more autonomous capabilities for purposes of streamlining how the systems are working so that, again, less time is spent on the manual effort, more time is spent on focusing on the higher value scenarios and operations that need to be done, whether it's in the banking side, the treasury side, or in the core accounts payable area and what's being done there, or in procurement. But at the end of the day, I think also we're taking advantage of the vast amount of knowledge that both organizations bring to the table. And what I'll say is unparalleled industry expertise. We understand both sides of the equation here, the accounts payable and what's happening in the office of the CFO. We also understand, this is speaking for our friends at SKsoft, what's happening on the treasury side, what's happening in the banking area, and putting that to work. And of course, we know that AI and the things that are happening from an AI perspective are also shining a light on things. And we've got a lot of work we're doing there to bring that to the forefront as well. So to me, this is a very, very rich roadmap, Jason. And I think both partners and customers should feel extremely confident that now we're really created that one-stop shop for them for their financial needs. And it's just only going to get better as we go forward.
Yeah, I want to maybe get some final words from both of you. Any other advice that maybe we haven't touched on yet? And any final sort of advice on where listeners can learn more? Morgan, do you want to take that?
Yeah, for sure. I think the biggest thing is that ISVs like us are here to support clients and partners across the board when it comes to the subject matter expertise. I just wanted to stress that because oftentimes Bob and I get in calls and people are searching for answers, especially with the tariffs, the changing markets right now. And here we're emphasizing that with our products together, you're going to get that expertise in a one-stop shop. And our goal is to have, AP, AR, and all those needs addressed in our robust platform. And for us as well, I think together, that's how you should approach addressing this issue because it's holistic ultimately for the CFO because they're maxed out right now. They're looking at how can I make the most of my time? How can I look to have a trusted business partner ultimately at the end of the day? And so this ISV approach makes complete sense regarding what we're seeing today. And I think together with SignUp, really this was just such a natural next step from our robust relationship we've had. And I'm really excited about what we're going to bring together. I mean, there's going to be more updates, obviously, and you'll see more from us for sure. This is just the beginning.
All right, excellent. Yeah, Bob, advice that you would leave our listeners with?
Well, I would always say stay tuned and watch, because we will be bringing more things to market. We started this journey several years ago when we were talking about the Office of the CFO and what's really happening in the Office of the CFO and where their responsibility lies. And we continue to bring forward that thought leadership and talk about that with our customers and with our partners, making them aware of it and helping them understand that we're here to help them be successful. But I also say stay tuned, because there's other areas that we're going into now, and sometimes we refer to them the rooms, so to speak, of the home, but specifically here in the Office of the CFO, there's other areas and things that we're targeting that we're going to be bringing solutions to market in. And customers and partners can expect, again, the same and highest degree of support in understanding how to penetrate, how to resonate, and then how to deliver what these customers are looking for in this space, that they continue to be that one-stop shop. We want our partners to understand that, they shouldn't have to go elsewhere. They've got everything they need, and they're going to be getting even more. So again, I say stay tuned and watch for us, because we're here and we're not going anywhere.
So where can listeners learn more after this conversation?
Well, I'm just going to say, we have our respective websites today. And again, stay tuned, because there's plenty of things that are going on behind the scenes as we figure out the next step of evolution of our partnership and the work that we're doing and where that's going. But that being said, you can always go out to our websites. We are constantly updating our content. We have a phenomenal partner portal with information that partners can take advantage of and can work with. There's, of course, a number of different types of webinars and events. Of course, we'll all be together at Summit here shortly in the fall. So that's kind of right around the corner, and you'll see things happening there. I'd say one thing about us right now is that we are talking with everybody, and we're constantly getting out there and discussing not only the thought leadership aspects of things, but also what can we do to help our partners and our customers. So it's there, and it's going to keep coming. Stay tuned.
Yeah. Our website is probably the best place to be able to get in contact with us, because we're pretty active on there, as Bob said, and as well on social media. I always look on my socials if people are itching to ask questions. So you can always reach out to us there.
All right, excellent. And yeah, I think we'll also point listeners back to the webcast you recently did for us. I think you mentioned there's others as well that you've delivered, and lots of great resources for us to perhaps link to in the show notes. So yeah, with that, I think we can wrap things up. Morgan and Bob, thank you so much to both of you. It's always fun chatting and hearing what's new. Thanks for sharing it with us.
Yep, thank you.
Been a pleasure as always, and good to connect with you again, Jason.
This has been another episode of the MCW podcast. My thanks once again to Bob and Morgan for joining me. And this message from SignUp Software. To learn more about embedded solutions for D365 Business Central, visit signupsoftware.com. To learn more about SKsoft's toolbox, visit sksoft.com. And that's it for this episode. If you want to get in touch with me, you can reach me by email, jason@msdynamicsworld.com. For all of our updates, please do follow us on LinkedIn. Until next time, this is MS Dynamics World, signing off.